Here's the rephrased version of your YouTube script in English, keeping the meaning intact but using different wording. I'm done and I found someone better. Your belongings are already in storage. My name's Leonard Kessler, 54, standing in the kitchen of our Des Moines condo. Stare at my phone at 11:42 p.m. on a Thursday. My wife, Dana, was supposed to be on day 4 of a girls' getaway in Palm Springs. The text arrived with a screenshot of a bank transfer. $118,000 shifted from our shared savings to her personal account. I placed my phone on the counter and finished my coffee. 15 years of marriage dissolved in 2 sentences and a screenshot. For months, there were hints. Weekend trips that extended longer, new outfits she never wore around me, phone calls that went silent when I entered the room. I saw it all. I'm a forensic accountant. Spotting inconsistencies is my job, but I stayed quiet. Maybe that was my first error. Or perhaps the real mistake was marrying someone who thought my work was just dull spreadsheets and numbers. I opened my laptop and checked an email account Dana didn't know about. 3 alerts from my bank security system. Someone tried to change passwords on accounts she'd never seen. She was covering her tracks. I had to admire her thoroughness. I picked up my phone and typed 2 words back. Best wishes. Then I called my brother, Jason. Remember that backup plan we talked about 5 years ago? I said when he picked up. It's time. You sure? He asked. Absolutely, I replied. She just made her move. I hung up and glanced at the wedding photo on the wall. The only picture in the condo that still included both of us. I should have noticed that. 2. I met Dana Bowman at a University of Iowa alumni event. I was 38, fresh off a brief first marriage, pouring everything into my forensic accounting firm. Dana was 34, lively, driven, and completely uninterested in my profession. I don't need to know the specifics, she'd say whenever I tried to share details about a case. Just make sure we're living comfortably. We wed after a year of dating. I funded her yoga studio entirely from my savings. When she wanted a bigger house in a nicer area, I agreed. Luxury cars, lavish vacations. I nodded and signed the checks. My father warned me once while we were repairing his deck. He paused, hammer in hand. Son, I see your wife spend a lot of your money, he said cautiously. Just ensure she appreciates how you earn it. I dismissed it, but his words lingered. 6 years into our marriage, I started quietly safeguarding my assets. Nothing shady, just prudent. I set up 2 LLCs, created trusts, invested in crypto, and opened offshore accounts for international clients. Dana knew about our joint checking and savings, but nothing more. I watched as she dove deeper into the fitness influencer world. Her Instagram following swelled into the thousands. She began taking trips with her wellness community, first weekends, then entire weeks. You wouldn't like it, she'd say. It's all yoga chatter and smoothies. Last Christmas, she forgot my birthday. When I brought it up the next day, she gifted me a pricey watch and said, I've been swamped with the studio expansion. I accepted the watch, but that night, I finalized my backup plan. The clues were there. I just didn't want to see the whole picture. The morning after her text, I woke early and brewed coffee, as always. Habits die hard, even when your life falls apart. I logged into my custom financial system, built for my practice but tweaked for personal use. With a few clicks, I activated the contingency protocol Jason, and I had crafted years before. First, I locked all joint accounts and credit cards. Then, I flagged the $118,000 transfer as fraudulent, using my banking contacts to speed things up. I sent proof of financial misconduct to my lawyer, with instructions to file for divorce immediately. Then I called my mother. Dana's gone, I said plainly. She took the money and moved my stuff out while she was supposedly on vacation. My mother was silent for a moment. I'm sorry, Leonard, she said at last, but I'm not shocked. What's your plan? What I've been preparing for years. I replied, protect what's mine. An hour later, my phone buzzed with Dana's name. I ignored the call. 10 more followed, then a text. What did you do? The money's gone and my cards aren't working. I didn't reply. Instead, I drove to the storage facility she'd mentioned using the code she sent. I retrieved 2 boxes of my clothes and my laptop. The rest, family photos, books, my father's mementos, were missing. That's when something solidified in me. This wasn't just about money anymore. It was about 15 years discarded without a second thought. It was about someone thinking they could erase me from my own life. I stopped at a coffee shop and opened my laptop. Using databases only licensed investigators can access, I dug into Trey Harmon. The fitness influencer Dana had been tagging in photos for months. The someone better she'd mentioned. What I found confirmed my suspicions. Trey's gym business was drowning in debt. 3 maxed-out business credit cards, a lease he couldn't afford, and Dana had co-signed a car loan with him 2 months earlier. I closed my laptop and drove to a hotel. For the first time in years, I felt clear about what needed to be done. I wasn't angry anymore, I was focused. Monday morning, I walked into my office as if nothing had changed. My assistant, Valerie, looked surprised. "Leonard, I thought you'd take time off. Dana called here 3 times already." "Did she?" I said, not really asking. "She sounded upset, said there was a mix-up with your accounts, and she needed to reach you urgently." I nodded. "If she calls again, tell her to contact my lawyer." By noon, Dana had gone from phone calls to showing up in person. The receptionist buzzed my office. "Your wife's here. She's quite persistent." I sighed and walked the lobby. Dana stood there, designer sunglasses perched on her head, yoga outfit perfectly coordinated. She flashed the same smile she'd used for 15 years when she wanted something. "Leonard, there's been a huge mix-up with the bank," she said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "All our accounts are locked." "No mix-up," I said quietly. "You transferred money without permission. The bank flagged it as fraud." Her smile wavered. "It was our joint account. I'm your wife. You're my soon-to-be ex-wife who drained our savings while announcing you'd moved out and found someone else. That's textbook financial misconduct." Her voice dropped to a hiss. "You can't do this to me. I've already put deposits on a new place. I've made commitments to Trey Harmon." "Yes, I know all about those commitments." Her face paled. "You're investigating me?" "Just protecting myself from fraud." "I'll fight this," she snapped. "I deserve half of everything." I looked at her calmly. "Half of what's in those accounts, sure. But you seem to think that's all there is." She blinked, confused. "What are you talking about?" "You'll find out in court," I said, then turned and walked back to my office. That afternoon, I received an email from Dana's new lawyer, demanding access to all financial records and threatening to expose irregularities in my accounting practice if I didn't comply. It was a weak bluff, no substance behind it. I forwarded it to my lawyer with one line: "Move forward as planned." By evening, Dana had rallied mutual friends to her side. My phone filled with texts asking why I was being spiteful and controlling. No one asked where she'd been the past week or who she'd been with. No one mentioned the money she'd taken. I didn't bother replying. Instead, I went to the gym, not Dana's studio or Trey's flashy fitness center, but the small community center I'd been going for years. I lifted weights until my arms trembled, then drove back to my hotel. The trap was closing, but not on me. 3 days later, my lawyer called. "We found something interesting," she said. "Dana's been siphoning money from your joint account for over a year. Small amounts at first, then larger ones." "Where to?" I asked, though I already knew. "Multiple accounts. Some to her personal savings, but most to a business LLC registered to Trey Harmon. Nearly $80,000 total, all from your joint funds. Which means we can add financial infidelity to the divorce filing." I thanked her and hung up. I wasn't surprised, but the confirmation still hit hard. Dana hadn't just left me for someone else. She'd been planning it for over a year, funding her exit and her new boyfriend's business with my money. That night, I got a text from an unknown number. "Back off. Dana deserves better than you. Don't make this messier than it needs to be. Trey Harmon, getting involved directly. Interesting." The next morning, I drove to my brother's house. Jason works in digital security, a perfect match for my financial expertise. We collaborated on cases before, But this was personal. I need everything on Harmon Fitness LLC. I told him. Bank records, loans, credit applications, everything. Jason raised an eyebrow. Legal channels only, right? Of course. We're just connecting public dots faster than most. 3 hours later, we had answers. Trey Harmon wasn't just in debt. He was underwater. His social media screamed success, but his business was failing. New equipment, expansions, promotional events, all funded by risky loans and recently Dana's investments. But there was more, something Dana couldn't have known. Look at this, Jason said, pointing at his screen. Harmon applied for a small business loan 4 months ago, using gym equipment as collateral. That's standard, I said. Yeah, but look who co-signed. I leaned in. The document showed Dana's signature on a $175,000 equipment loan. She co-signed before she left you, Jason said quietly. But here's the kicker. The loan specifies joint responsibility with her spouse. They use your marital status to get better terms. I stared at the screen. She put my assets on the line for his loan, without my knowledge. Exactly. And there's more. 3 credit cards, a car lease, and a new commercial space rental, all co-signed by Dana, all leveraging your marital assets as security. I stood and walked to a window. Outside, kids played in the neighbor's yard, unaware of adult complications. She has no idea what she's done, I said finally, and neither does he. The next morning, I met with my lawyer and shared everything we'd found. I want to act fast, I told her, before they realize what's happening. She reviewed the documents and nodded. We'll file for emergency asset protection today. The loan fraud alone is enough to freeze everything until the divorce is settled. That afternoon, I drove to Harmon Fitness. The gym was sleek, with motivational quotes on the walls, and Trey's face plastered at the entrance. Inside, young people in pricey workout gear took selfies between half-hearted sets. Trey spotted me immediately. He was taller in person, with an artificial tan and capped teeth that screamed curated image. He walked over, hand extended, smile calculated. You must be Leonard, he said. Dana's mentioned you. I'm sure she has, I replied, ignoring his hand. We need to talk privately. His smile flickered, but he led me to his glass-walled office, visible but soundproof. What can I do for you? He asked, closing the door. I placed a folder on his desk. These are all the financial documents tying you to Dana. Loans, credit cards, leases, all co-signed using our marital assets as security. He picked up the folder cautiously. I don't get it. It's simple. Dana used our marriage to back your business loans. Now we're divorcing, and those guarantees are void. The color drained from his face as he flipped through the pages. These are legitimate business deals between Dana and me. Maybe, but the banks approve them based on our combined assets and income, assets she no longer has access to. He closed the folder. What do you want? Nothing from you. I just thought you should know what's coming. The banks will call those loans due soon. Dana said you were wealthy, he said, voice hardening. Money's not an issue for you. Money was never the issue, I replied. Trust was. I stood to leave but paused at the door. One more thing. When Dana moved out, she took items of sentimental value. Family photos, my father's watch, things money can't replace. He stared at me for a long moment. I'll see what I can do. I nodded and left. The next day, a courier delivered a box to my hotel. Inside were the missing photos, my father's watch, and other personal items. No note. That afternoon, my lawyer confirmed emergency asset protection was granted. All shared assets would stay frozen until the divorce was finalized. I logged into my financial system and saw Dana had tried to access our frozen account 17 times in the past 24 hours. She'd also attempted to open a new credit line using our home as collateral. Denied. My phone lit up with her name again. This time I answered. What have you done? She demanded, voice trembling. The bank called in Trey's loans, all of them. They're seizing the equipment tomorrow. That's unfortunate, I said calmly. This is spiteful, Leonard. You're ruining him to hurt me. I'm not doing anything to him. I'm protecting myself from fraud. You use our marriage to secure his loans without my consent. That's illegal. We can fix this, she said, her tone softening. Come home. We'll talk. 15 years of marriage, and she still thought I was that easy to sway. There's nothing to fix, I replied. The divorce will move forward. The fraud investigation will continue, and Trey will learn a costly lesson about due diligence. I ended the call and blocked her number. That night, I slept better than I had in months. 3 weeks later, I sat in the conference room as Dana and her lawyer arrived for a court-ordered mediation. She looked exhausted, her designer outfit and flawless makeup unable to hide the strain. Her lawyer spoke first. My client is open to a fair division of assets, despite the aggressive move so far. My lawyer smiled politely. That's good to hear, because there's been a development. She slid a document across the table. The bank completed its fraud investigation. They've determined Dana forged Leonard's signature on multiple loan documents, using their marital assets as collateral without his knowledge. Dana's lawyer skimmed the document, face paling. We'll need time to review this. Of course, my lawyer said, but the bank has already referred the matter to the district attorney. This meeting is a courtesy before criminal charges are filed. Dana stared at me, eyes wide. Criminal charges, Leonard? You can't be serious. I didn't file the charges. I said evenly. The bank did. That's what happens when you commit loan fraud. Her lawyer whispered something to her. She shook her head fiercely. If Ms. Bowman signs our proposed settlement today, my lawyer continued, Leonard is willing to provide a statement to the bank that could lessen the criminal consequences. He won't pursue charges for the theft of personal property or the unauthorized transfer from the joint account. I watched as Dana's carefully built world crumbled. She'd expected anger, jealousy, maybe even pleading. She hadn't expected consequences. The settlement is fair, I said quietly. You keep your yoga studio, which has always been profitable. You keep your car and personal items. You get no alimony, and you take on the debts you incurred in my name. And Trey, she asked, voice barely audible. Mr. Harmon's financial problems are his own, my lawyer replied. But without your husband's assets backing those loans, I understand the bank has already started repossession. Dana signed the papers without further protest. As we left the conference room, she grabbed my arm. I never thought you'd fight back like this, she said. You always just went along with everything. That was my choice, I replied, just like this was yours. I walked away without looking back. A month later, I moved out of a hotel and into a modest craftsman house near downtown Des Moines. Nothing extravagant, just a solid home that needed some fixing up, a project to keep my hands busy and my mind engaged in the evenings. I heard through mutual friends that Dana had relocated to Colorado for a fresh start. Her Instagram showed mountain vistas and uplifting quotes about new chapters. Trey's gym was sold to a national chain, and he'd moved to Miami to grow his brand. Neither mentioned what had happened. People rarely broadcast their failures. My brother Jason stopped by one Saturday to help install kitchen cabinets. Heard from Dana? He asked as we measured for hinges. Nope, I said, and I don't expect to. You could have taken her for everything. The fraud charges alone would have guaranteed it. I shrugged. What's the point? She's not my problem anymore. We worked in easy silence, the rhythm of measuring, cutting, and mounting almost meditative. I'm thinking of taking some time off. I said eventually, maybe head to Minnesota, fish at the cabin. Dad would have liked that, Jason replied. You haven't been there since he passed. That evening, after Jason left, I sat on my back porch with a glass of bourbon. The neighborhood was calm, broken only by the occasional dog bark or child's laugh. Different from the upscale area Dana insisted on, more genuine somehow. I reflected on the past 15 years, how I'd let someone else shape my life, my worth, how I'd seen the signs and ignored them, how, when the time came, I was ready because some part of me always knew this day would come. I didn't feel triumphant or vindicated. I just felt free. The next morning, I called my office and said I'd be taking 2 weeks off. Then I packed my truck, locked the house, and headed north. No plans, no expectations, just the open road and, For the first time in years, no hidden tally of grudges to settle.